crap about it, and I would just say, "Oh look, the chicks have got long hair, so until you force them to cut their hair, I ain't cutting my fucking hair."
Yeah, don't know. Where did you used to work?
Well, I worked in a lot of places, but I worked in restaurants for, since I was about 15 till I was 20, whatever. It's been a lot of, I worked a lot when I worked a lot.
Or where was your last job?
The last job was doing, piecework. The last formal job where I felt like I had a real job. Well, I worked for my landlord actually for 2 years. Installing furnaces and water lines, and just doing basic. I don't even know what you call it. Electrical. I mean, it's all general contracting. Yeah. So I was general contracting for a couple of years. That was my last job about 10 years ago.
Did you have a contracting license, and did you actually have like contracts, or was this just kind of like something that you did once in a while, somebody pay you odd jobs kind of thing?
Well, like I said, that was the only last formal one I've had. I have lots of jobs since then that are informal, but that was the last time. It was a government, it was a HUD loan, government contract. I was the contractor, blah, 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 blah. But I never got my goddamn money.
And that was 10 years ago? You said that you had your last job?
Like I said, that was my last. I don't really want to talk about my personal life in this detail, but yeah, that's my last, like, formal, government paychecky thingy, blah blah blah. Yeah.
As opposed to informal jobs, like formal jobs as a lead or something?
Well, whatever. Look, you want to be an asshole somewhere else. Thank you very much.
No, I'm asking. I'm just wondering because, I mean, it must be cool to not work.
Yeah, well, I do work, is what I'm trying to tell you, but I don't work reported income work. I can't really talk about it, okay? So blah, 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 blah. So you want to say I don't work? Fine, go ahead and say that. I'm not going to explain otherwise. I told you it's my personal life. So fuck you. End of that conversation. Thank you very much.
So do you ever plan on getting a real job?
I'm not going to talk to you anymore, you fucking cunt. No point in being nice to people. My mistake.
So let me ask you, just to follow up on what you said before, you had these jobs, but you found that, the more you reported for work, the more anxious you were. And the more often you stayed home, the more relaxed you felt. So that was kind of your segue into retirement? Just, work less, stay home more.
That was my segue into...
I'm not listening.
I'm just trying to... my segue in. When I moved here, I had every intention of living for the I had enough money saved where I could live a couple of years, and I just figured I'd live here and die. Because I figured the game was over. But, I've been able to eke it out. I've been able to stretch it out, and so I've stretched it out, because I've been able to make enough to still stay alive. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long, hard road.
Well, the flaw in the plan was that you were in your 20s or something, so you don't just go to sleep and wake up dead or something.
Well, I didn't plan on just waking up dead, Remy. I had made plans, blah, 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 blah.
But you're not missing anything because the corporate society sucks. We get all this bullshit of how free we are.
Society sucks too. People just suck, period, okay? That's the simple answer there, is people just suck.
Yeah, but we get this bullshit of how free we are. I don't want to have fucking short hair like this. I have short hair because people expect me to fucking have short hair at a fucking job, And it's fucking bullshit. Nobody can be who they really want to be.
Yeah, well, you do have to engineer your life a little. You have to get lucky, Some of it, half of it's luck, half of it's planning. It's always the same kind of mix. Where you get yourself in a place where you can actually get a job you enjoy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I made the mistake of, I kind of went for the money, the short-term gain money, and the job wasn't good for me. It wasn't healthy for me, and that was a mistake.
What do you mean when you say people suck? That really has not been my
It's not
experience.
self-explanatory?
I'll tell you what though. When I encounter them on the interstate and I'm on my motorcycle and the crossers,
I've had with people working,
then I do think they suck.
I'm just saying. All right, well then, good. So we'll just end that I won't have to make the argument, but I'm just saying I've been disappointed. People I have had. I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, I've worked for a number of years, and you get disappointed by how when you see, when the rubber hits the road, how they treat you, or how they think of you, and it's pretty disappointing. That's all.
Yeah, well, it's all about money, and the corporate world is about maintaining the status quo.
Yeah, well, it's about $10 too. I mean, they'll fuck you over for they'll literally fuck you over. They'll risk your disrespect over 10 fucking bucks. I mean, and they're living in an $800,000 house, and you're saying, what the fuck sense does that make? This fucker's gonna sit there and screw me for 10 fucking bucks, and he lives in a house, it's worth $800,000.
Because he screwed over fucking 80,000 people for 10 bucks.
Well, that's not even always true, but yeah, unfortunately that's how the really rich have gotten rich. You can't get rich without fucking somebody over. I mean, there's no other way to do it. You have to make money on somebody else's labor to get really rich. It's the only way to do it. Somebody else, it's like you have to do the Bill Gates thing. Somebody else writes the software. You lie to him and screw him out of his software and say, okay, yeah, well, you got a piece of nothing. It's useless software. I'll buy it from you for 200,000 bucks. And then they turn around the next day and go up to IBM and rent it to IBM for whatever it was, $4 billion over the next 3 years.
But the other part is this, Gary. That guy who wrote the software, so if he hadn't been employed by the entrepreneur, he would just have sat home and written software and gotten rich himself. Probably not. He'd have sat there like black cats playing, what do you call it, massive multiplayer role-playing games.
Yeah, well, the point is, though, Remy, it was
somebody
a lie. That's all I'm saying, okay, that the human being fucked the other human being. Bill Gates could have gone up to the guy and said, look, all right, I think I can snooker IBM with your software. And so let's go 50-50 or something. He could have gone up to the guy and made a fair deal. Instead, what he did was he snookered the guy. He snookered the guy out of something he knew had more value than the guy knew it had. All right, and he wasn't honest with him. He didn't make a fair deal with him, an honest deal with him. He just used him. And it's just like every reseller out there. There's lots of people who are resellers of resellers of resellers. And instead of just saying, you know what, you want to get the product for half the price, just buy it from this company directly. You can get it for, 1/2 the price. But instead they got to make their money, and they don't do any work. They just set up some fake little website, sell the same product somebody can get for $5 less, and feel good about it. And I'm just saying, in my opinion, that sucks. I certainly couldn't do that to somebody. I couldn't sit there and take somebody's money knowing that they could buy the same thing cheaper from the guy next door. I mean, that just sucks.
Well, I think the competition took a different turn in the middle, but, what I was talking about were people, imagine people like black cats who have skills. His hand-eye coordination is fucking amazing, but, absent a job, a reason to get up every morning, he's going to play these online games. He's going to sleep until 3 in the afternoon. Somebody gives him a job, takes his skill, puts it together with somebody else's into a project that creates value. You know, I mean, that's pretty much how we get things done in this world, and I can't imagine another way.
Oh, whatever, Remy. That's not how it
Maybe
happens
you can.
People get desperate. Okay, maybe Black Cats isn't desperate. Maybe he's got some independently wealthy kind of status, and so yeah, he needs to be made desperate somehow to be forced to be productive. But most people aren't like that. Most people are forced to go out into the market and sell themselves short and be exploited by some asshole. Okay, he's just going to take their skills, okay, and basically rip them off because they're not in a position. They don't have the extra capital to do it themselves. It's like somebody being stuck as a renter. Well, you're just exploiting somebody. Why? Because they don't have a down payment, because daddy didn't leave them enough for a down payment, or because their kid got sick and they lost their money that they'd saved, and so now they're stuck in a position where you can exploit the fucking shit out of them. And people are going to feel good about doing that? Well, fine. I'm just saying it sucks. That's all I'm going to say about it. I think it sucks. I wouldn't do it to another human being. And feel good about myself, like I did something that was productive.
See, I see the phase that I see the time frame that I see the history that we're in as being like a test period with currency. I can imagine a world without currency where all these fucking problems and all this backstabbing doesn't occur.
Oh, whatever. You can imagine a world without currency is just idiotic. I mean, there's nothing wrong with currency. Debt is the problem. Currency is not the problem.
As long as there's currency, there will be debt.
That's just a pile of crap. All currency represents is a placeholder. It's just a way of saying, okay, here's a car. This thing can represent it, so now you can move it around and you can transact with it, okay? So currency has value behind it, not debt, value. It's created by an acquisition of value. The government basically printed cash because somebody would bring the government a value, something of value the government would own, or a bank would own. A house would go into the bank, and the bank would own the house until the person paid it off, and that was how the money would be created or generated. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But there's something seriously wrong with the debt equation and paying interest. That's where the whole thing goes to shit. Okay, it's this idea that my pile of surplus entitles me to a tax-free income or a tax-preferred income. That's where it all goes to shit. Because I own a bond, okay, yeah, I don't pay taxes on my profit now? What the fuck is that shit? But the worker pays taxes on his?
One more word there.
But the worker pays taxes on his?
Here's what I have to say. I mean, we can all imagine a better world where people behave, perfectly, or at least more perfectly, as moral beings, but that's utopianism. Can you imagine a way to get from here to there that doesn't harness off of the acquisitive instincts that people have?
Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I think I can argue that if we did what the BBC started off as, or something else like that, maybe if we had different ownership of the means of society, maybe if there was conversations like this Stickam conversation, but with, take me out of it, put people who don't swear and get the rear ends out of there and all the other kind of crap, but some sort of disciplined conversation about what life means, got rid of all that religious crap, and start over again at 1900, right? With that conversation taking place in the mass media and on TV when it starts, instead of people watching, Uncle Milty. They're watching something a little bit higher brow than that, a little more about what your responsibilities as a human are, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think, you could make a better world. I think people suck because the memes suck, because the example of what it means to be alive and a human sucks. Okay, the examples are cartoons and comic books, phantasmagorical fantasy figures, Terminators. We don't have any real world, honest people talking about what it is to be a fucking human being.